Okay, couple topics to cover. Let's start with the recapping the game after watching it, like we always do. I thought what stood out on tape offensively, really liked the start, wanted to make it physical in the run game, did that in the first half. Second half, the penalty thing really got us. We weren't able to recover that. You look at the first three possessions of the second half, pass interference offensively backs us up, putting it a long distance. We couldn't recover. Same thing on a holding penalty the next possession. And then even in the third possession, I mean, we jump off sides, fourth down. We got to play. The guy's going to be open. We don't. I will give Jake Luton some credit on we did punt. He punted later in the game and set it up pretty good field position. Was pleased defensively, really was. I thought Tim Tibesar did a great job in regards to that plan. That's a good offense now. They can be explosive. They got some guys running around. Thought we changed it up to looks and really gave us an opportunity to win the game defensively. I really felt that. They were going to score some points in an explosive group, but they played well enough to give us multiple opportunities to score. Special teams-wise, they had a big return. We had a return as well, but we had to clean that up on kickoff. I do think Daniel Rodriguez is playing at a high level, the way he's punting the ball. We've flipped the field a couple times just by him. So there's some things to clean up there schematically after the game. I will say I do think that's a good football team, Hawaii. They got some things going. Rolo's done a good job over there offensively and defensively. So. Obviously, we had a couple of incidents that we're not really excited about, starting with Gus Lavaka after the game. I mean, this is a 3-hour battle that I thought the guy actually played at a high level. He played with a lot of energy and emotion, tried to make it physical. Gets to the end of the game on the sideline, and the finality of the game comes. And he's right on their sideline. They get excited, which they should. I mean, it was such a game of back and forth and emotion into it. And Gus made a bad choice in his response. There's no question. Below the standard that we want around here. Met with Gus this morning, talked it out. You talk about a guy that, he's embarrassed because he does represent this place. You're talking about a guy that was voted captain, and which was well-deserved. He's done so many things around here, about to graduate, well-respected. And, he felt embarrassed in the response he made. And to his credit, we didn't ask him to do this. He's reached out to their player over social media to apologize about his response. And so when I told him he will not play in the first half of this next game, it did not go over well for him. That's tough to deal with, but it's something that there's a standard here, and he fell short of that. Same regard to Caleb Hayes. That thing is the same thing, well short of the standard. I get it. We asked these guys to play with some real emotion. We need them to. But you got to be able to control that, and that was not what we're looking to have in a game. It's not going to help us win. And the way he responded to his own teammate, and they get it. He's a competitive kid now. He's been working really hard, but that's well short of the standard. He'll do the same thing of not playing in the first half of this next game. This next opponent brings some unique schemes to the table in Cal Poly. Got a ton of respect for that head coach over there, Coach Walsh, and what he's been able to do for a long time. Offensively, they got a unique scheme that's tough to prepare for. You don't see it week in and week out, and so we got our work cut out for us. I do think our guys are ready to respond here. Had a couple of games so far, hasn't gone our way, but I know and I'm confident these guys will come back to work with a great challenge of being able to be back at home and see this next test. See ultimately if we can continue to improve week 1 to week 2 to week 3. With having said that, fire away.
10 injuries. Tago.
Not season-ending knee, but it's probably going to be a week or two.
Gums.
He tore his ACL. He's done for the year.
Wow. Eldridge.
Ankle. It's probably a week or two. I mean, it's a pretty good sprain. It's not a high ankle sprain, but he's probably a week or two.
And Morris didn't dress.
He aggravated something in his foot during the week. We thought maybe he'd feel better toward the weekend. Didn't. He's still dealing with that. We'll kind of see how he looks this week in practice.
Did Moore, was that just Moore felt like he was close?
He's really close, and we just felt the risk of him, not completely being 100. Could he then have a setback and be even longer term? We just took the choice of you got a long season ahead of us and not play him.
Manning.
Manning's still battling the thing. I think he's getting closer, but we'll see this week if he can do more and more in practice.
This is just probably more of an observation than a question, but, you know, you go into the season thinking outside linebacker, boy, is the depth great there, and does football just do that to you in a humbling way that
Yeah.
no matter what you think how deep you are, you're just
Yep, it does. Yeah, we did. We've got some real depth there. There's a bunch of good players, in our opinion. But this is a physical game, and every position is, you know, you're going to deal with it. You don't know exactly know which positions as it goes on, but it's just something you got to deal with.
And where are you at outside linebacker now? You got McCartan
And Ham, who played at a high level.
Yeah.
I mean, Ham played really well. So you got those two guys, and then Isaac Garcia and Riley Sharp have also played in this game. Garcia played pretty good in against Hawaii, so those guys need to step up.
and the quarterback position. I feel like I need to ask it. Is it Luton still your guy, or
Yep.
or is it open or?
No, yeah, Luton, he did some good things in that game. There's some plays he'd like back 100%, but he did some good things, and I think that, you know, that's going to happen. You're not always going to play your best, and again, I do feel like we got two guys who can score some points with, but we're not ready to all of a sudden say that Luton's not the guy.
Okay, so you mentioned Jake Rodriguez punting really at a high level.
Daniel, yeah.
Yeah, or sorry, Daniel Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
Talk us through then the decision to fourth quarter, you're tied, and you go for the fake punt
Yep.
when you're at your own 34.
Yep. There's about 4 minutes left. We got all our timeouts, tied game. That play we'd had in actually for a couple of weeks, been executing really well. We actually got the look we wanted. The corner covering Dre is thinking that he's going to run down on punt. He's open, and D-Rod missed him. We wanted to err on the side of aggression. I felt confident where our defense was playing. We got 3 timeouts. We hold them to what we ended up holding them to, 3 points. We got the ball with 2 minutes and 3 timeouts to go do some things. There's risk reward in this game. There's no question. And that's part of the reason I love it in regards we're going to want to be aggressive. Thought we caught him off guard. We did. We didn't execute the play.
Okay, so then leading to that, the 2-minute drill,
Yeah.
you're averaging over 6 yards a carry running. They slowed you down in the second half.
They had.
But in that 2-minute drill, there was not one run play.
Right. Some of that goes into, it's 2 minutes, and you want to get all the plays you can in regards to the clock. I think Brian does an awesome job. You know, and 2 minutes been actually one of the things we did really well. Even week one, first at the end of the half, we go down and get a score. So I didn't think second guessing, looking at the calls. We got stalled on the last 3 plays. We moved it pretty well to that point. And actually had opportunity on those 3 plays. I thought you were going to ask on more or less kicking it or going for it on 4th down and 10, which I think we put Jordan in a tough spot there. But I did feel like that gave us a chance to tie the game.
Were you surprised at the difference between the offensive output in the first half and the second half, and was it just a matter of execution or what?
Yeah, a little surprised. Again, I want to give some credit to Hawaii. You get up here and tell you it's all about us. Those guys did some things and made it physical. They played better in the second half than we did. It was an execution thing. The penalty part for sure killed some drives. The details of some of our, whether it was route running, decision making, we blocked a couple of runs really well in the first half. We didn't block it the same in the second half. It was execution.
Me? Okay. Okay, so the team is making progress. I mean, they were competitive in this game. How do you coach that next step then of like taking, playing?
question.
They played with a lead.
No question.
They had it, but they couldn't finish. How do you coach that next step then in that rebuild?
Yep, that's interesting because we actually talked about that yesterday. And because I think you look at it, there's some progress getting made. We're in a tight ball game, and now we got to take that next step to seize that moment and finish on the right side of the scoreboard. And I do think it comes down to trusting your preparation in those moments, your fundamentals that you've been working on since camp started. Some of that went away in the fourth quarter. And so it comes back to the moment is there. You're getting to where you need to be to get over that hump. You got to continue to do what you're coached to do, what you've trained to do. We lost a little of our fundamentals in that fourth quarter.
How is the mood with the team? I mean, this is a team now they had that game. Are they still
No
up?
question. They were that locker room felt a little different after the game in regards to the emotion with it, I don't want to say the care factor, but there were some guys that were emotionally drained after that game because they put a lot into it, and then to come out on the wrong end of it, it was tough. And that was a long trip back. I mean, shoot, you guys didn't come back, and we got back here at like 11 a.m. I will say we had an evening meeting, and I wouldn't call them upbeat, but I do think they're ready to go back to work starting tomorrow.
Sorry, I guess I'm just monopolizing. So one more thing. So that emotion and aggression that we saw, it manifested maybe in ways that you and the fans don't want to see. But as a coach, you have to be happy, A, that there's emotion there, and B, how do you harness that into a positive?
Yeah, I think you got to continue to always learn from, mistakes that are made / situations that come up, because you got to play this game with emotion, but at the same time, there's a line, and we can't cross that. And so you got to keep coaching it. I do think going back to these guys and these examples that we've had, I'm expecting our whole team to learn from it.
Second half, I've been asked, what Pierce, did you decide to go with Jefferson? Or?
Well, yeah, a little bit. There's nothing injury-wise there. Pierce had a great game. He has a couple good, huge runs, 3rd down and 7. You give him the ball and he scores. We go fast later on in the game. He pops on inside out and scores. But Jamar, he was having a good game too. He's making some guys miss and all of that. So there's one ball carrier, and Jamar was getting the majority of it in the second half, right, which he's earned.
At the tight end position, it's still early, obviously, but it doesn't seem like you're getting a lot of production, at least in the passing game, from the tight ends yet. Is it just?
He's got to catch the ball. I mean, we threw him the ball right over the he drops it. The next play we go in and we run an outbreak, he drops the ball. It's like he's not going to be the lead catch guy, but we got when he gets his number called, Noah, I'm talking about, he needs to catch that. Trust me, I love Noah in regards to the way his work ethic, his leadership on this team, but we'd like to get some things going to him, but we got to catch it to do it.
And what about the other receivers? It just seemed like nobody got, whether
Yeah.
getting it to them or they weren't getting open. What did you see?
There's some combination, I think, of this. One, you got a good player in Hodgins. So we're going to put an emphasis on trying to get the ball and target that guy. And then I think there was a time or two that Jake targeted him when he probably should have been working somewhere else. I don't think it's a trust thing, but it's just a confidence thing of like, I want to go to Hodge. The guy makes some plays. So I think there's a combination there. And then the other piece is the distribution of the other position. Those guys got to tighten up some details for us to continue to get them the ball.
Yeah. Is Isaiah Smalls, you haven't seen him or?
No, he played a little bit in the first game. He did not travel this week. He was a little bit banged up,
Okay.
and so he didn't practice enough to kind of travel.
Not to harp on it, one question, because it's going to come up. The Hayes-Roberts situation, not personal, just emotion?
100%. 100%. Both those guys talked after the game. Avery's coming from a good place in regards to helping out a teammate. He really is. And Caleb's was just wound up too high.
Okay, and then your path with Coach Walsh, how often are you familiar with a lot of things they like to run? What can you?
I mean, I wouldn't say that just could being an offensive guy. I just got a bunch of respect for the guy. He's got some Northwest ties, been here a long time, has done some really good things at every spot he's been at. I think he does things the right way. But I wouldn't say we're close friends in any way.
I guess I'll spin a couple positive things here. The turnovers, you've got 0 so far. Only 5 teams in the country that don't have that yet. I mean, that's got to be one thing you're pulling out of this offensively.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's crucial. We got to continue to hold on to the ball. We created a couple turnovers that way, and so it's always been a point of emphasis, and these guys are executing. I think the number I'm really pleased offensively, we made a point of emphasis. We got to reduce the sacks, and we've taken 1 per game, and we're pleased with that number too.
And then the sack number went up in this game. You got more pressure on than you did the first game. It seemed like, was it just where were you able to get that pressure from?
Starting with, I think, Tim Tibesar and that defensive staff creating a couple of new schemes to be able to rush the passer. I thought Ham, the one sack he got with the forced fumble was huge, and that was just him doing his technique and beating the tackle. I do think Whitley can push the pocket, and he showed up in doing that. He didn't always get home, but he forced that guy to move, and so we've made some progress there.
This didn't have anything to do with, obviously, why he scored out of this eventually, but Jordan Shoecare, he fought off a tackle or
Huge.
fought off a block. And
Huge.
That was a play where you can go, hey, don't give up.
No question. And it's funny, Jordan's a pretty good athlete. Like, he can run 4.6, decent time in the 40. Like, the guy's a pretty good athlete, and he gave awesome effort there. And that's what we ask of our kickers, is really get into a spot where, yeah, maybe you're going to make the tackle, but at least you're going to slow them down so the others can get there, and he did an awesome job there.
What are you seeing from your secondary? There's so much inexperience back there. And
Yeah.
what did you see just as a whole?
I think some of that, I see a little bit of that inexperience. I do see those guys competing. And again, this offense they were playing against, I mean, they got some dynamic players running routes, but I think there's been some growth week 1 to week 2. They definitely gave up a couple of plays. But I like their work ethic. I do like the group. I think Blues got them in a good place in regards to their work ethic and how competitive that group is in regards to, like, well, yeah, you play well, you're going to play. And he's mixed in some other guys. So I think it's in a good place in regards to their work ethic and how they're diving into improving.
How do you, when you got a guy like JoJo Forrest, who, he had some tough times in the first half, and it's his first start and all
Yeah.
that. I mean, how do you deal with him, just talking to him about, these things happen, but you gotta move on, and
We got to learn from him, and you got to learn from this experience. And yeah, he is a young guy, but he's earned to be out there. At the same time, if you're out there, the expectation is that you can get your job done. And he did in a lot of ways, but you got to learn from some of the mistakes.
and is Noose he'll be your center for at least
Yeah.
for a while?
Yeah, which he played in this game too. Eldridge did start, but he played in the game.
And who might replace Lavaca for
Yeah, we'll kind of see where that goes throughout the week. Yeah, we'll see.
as far as Cal Poly goes, you don't see triple option, well, really at all. What's the challenge there? Just
Yeah, the discipline of it.
a few days to prepare.
Yeah, it's tough. Because it comes down to a discipline. It's a unique scheme that you don't see very often. You got to have a guy for the dive guy, the quarterback, the pitch. They're going to use the clock, and so your opportunities offensively are going to be less, just the amount of possessions. And so they present a lot of problems that way.
So I don't know, you might have mentioned this, but Gums, same ACL or different?
Different, the other side. Yep.
You talked a little about the risk and reward. You guys are in a tie game there in that fourth quarter. You go for it, a 4th and 1 at your own 29 early in the fourth, and then do the fake punt. Did you feel like you had to do something like that, or looking back now, kind of that thought process of
It's
why
a
in that
little
moment
bit-
you chose those?
Yeah, we're going to err on the side of aggression, especially with the confidence that I got in the offense / the plays that we called. This thing ain't, if we're not real confident about those plays, no, we're probably going to punt it. But I did think 7 points was going to be a difference maker, and that ended up being 3. But we had an opportunity to do it again at the end. So yeah, some of this 4th down thought of the confidence in the offense, and I think 7 points is huge.
Question came up I wasn't sure on. Can you still chuck 5 yards receivers? Can you do that? And would you like your team to do that more?
You're saying off the line of scrimmage within the first 5 yards,
Yeah,
putting hands
your
on.
defensive player on the wide receiver, chuck him for 5 yards, and then
Yeah, we can press and put hands on, and which I'd like to continue to do. I do think we need to change up our looks. You can't just sit there at the line of scrimmage the whole time and back and forth. But that's been commonplace in a lot of college ball.
And then against the triple option, is it too simplified to say put 9 guys on the line of scrimmage and spy all 3 of those guys in the backfield? Is that too simple?
Well, if you put them all at the line of scrimmage, if they get through, there's no one else back there. So you need to have
True.
someone to be able to, tackle them. I'm not going to proclaim to be an expert on defense, but I will say I think we need to be able to change a lookup or two against that scheme.
And how huge is it to have a guy like Jack Coletto who can go both ways, and he's making an impact both ways?
Yeah, he's done some good things, especially on teams. Like sometimes that's not exactly in the stat book, but what he's contributing there. We do like his packages that he's done offensively, and he played a lot defensively against that pass. Was around the ball, and actually played pretty well. So we're really pleased with what Jack's given us.
Anything else? Thank you, Coach.
Okay.